this over to my friend and colleague, Hermit Wang. Take over.
Hi, everyone. I'm very glad to see you. I'm the Hermit Wang. I'm a member of our NYC, and I'm going to just provide an introduction about the September 11 and the Manhattan Chinatown. I'm going to just share my presentation to you now. Oh, sorry, give me 1 minute. We will start. So everybody, you can hear me, right?
I hear you fine, and I'm seeing your screen now.
Okay, you can see my screen. Okay, now, this is a map about the Chinatown, and we can also see the, World Trade Centers. I show this map to you is to let everybody know, Chinatown is near the, the World Trade Center. Their distance is not far away to each other. Before the September 11 happened, a lot of Chinese people, they just, they're living in Chinatown for generations. They don't want to move into the Queens or Brooklyn or Amherst or the other places in the city, because the Chinatown where they're living are very convenient to them. And their daily life, rely on the, our subway stations, and those systems give them a lot of help before they move to anywhere just in the city. But the September 11 changed many things. Give me 1 minute. Changed a lot of things, and some of them later they move into the Flushing, they move into the Amherst and the other space just because of the September 11. So I just show this photo first to let everybody know Chinatown is near the, the September 11 very much. Just 1 minute. Okay, now you can see this photo, and you can see this photo, like thinking about it is today, on the morning time, you are coming here along with yourself. This is East Broadway. You're thinking you're coming here by yourself, or you're just leading a team with the tourists. Working along the East Broadway, see all kinds of the Chinese store. They just, making on the both sides of the street. And I think you will feel very comfortable, enjoy what it is look like, and maybe enjoy some kind of the special Chinese food. And at here, we can see, there are a lot of Chinese stores just on the both sides of the street. And actually, this is one of the most very busy space in Chinatown. And you can see this flag. It is in Chinese. It is say the #1 bus driver school at here. And they just parking their bus here. 20 years ago, a lot of people, they coming to the Chinatown and looking for, the jobs. And, the like trailer driver or the bus driver is one of the job, maybe working hard, but they can earn a lot of. So many people, they use in China, they're driving the trucks, trailers, but when they come into America, they want to do the same thing they did in China. They need the American or the New York driver license, and they need to take the test. And that's this kind of the driving school just appear, and they create their, the careers. Many people coming here because they cannot reading or writing in English very much. So they just go this kind of school and got the English training for to pass the, the trailer or, the digger or, the truck license, like we say the A license. And those schools are just earn the money from those people who want to become the, the driver. In the East Broadway, there's not only they sell the vegetables, there's all kinds of the business. Some school, restaurant, even till the, the lawyer office, many kind of careers in this street. And the people like here is because when the daytime, they can do their business at here. And when the night they close their store, they just go back to their home, just, upstairs. On the left, maybe not very easy, like one bedroom, like normally maybe we have 2 people share the room, but some of them, they have 4 people, 5 people, even till some of them, they told me before the September 11, there's some room are big and there's 8 people just share the one room because they don't have the money, to just rent a whole room for themselves. So they have to share the space with the others. On the side, the life in that time is very, very, it's a very, very challenge because in one room, maybe 4 people in there, but they are not working as the same kind. Somebody, working in the grocery store, the dollar store. Somebody, the cooking and in the kitchens, in the restaurant. Somebody are the bus drivers. And somebody maybe still looking for jobs. So everybody's, schedule are differences. So each of them maybe bother the others, especially in the nighttime and the time for they have their food. Somebody coming early, somebody coming back late. And maybe the time they just, against each other. Like some of people I know, they told me the story side. Some of them, they back home, just in this street, in their home. They just want to sleep, but the other people cannot. They still waiting for their friends coming in, pay the visit or do something. And maybe that's maybe 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. They said, we will be bothered to awake because some people back home very late and they just shut down the door very loudly. But that's the life, that's for 20 years. And all they have to do is just lay on the bed and maybe, the counting the money, how much they earn for that day and just sleep. And when the next morning, when the sun just rises up, they need to get up and then working again. But when they think about, they still have a family in China or maybe here, they need, the financial support. So they forget all this kind of hardship. They need to working. But Chinatown provide them many resources and let them keep surviving. They do all kinds of the business here. The major income of the Chinatown in Manhattan is from the tourists. Someone from over New York City. Someone maybe from the Jersey, Washington, DC, and the other part of our country. Of course, international customers, international tour guests. Chinatown always attraction to all of them. So they don't need to worry about that. Also the tour guide, many tour guides have their favorite Chinatown tour. But like I began my story, just maybe like today, you're just walking along the East Broadway and walk and see the blue sky, everything fine. And in this picture, we can see our new World Trade Center. And 20 years ago, you can see the top of the Twin Towers. And thinking about it, you are just walking along the street and suddenly the sense changed to now. You see the smoke strongly burned. You can smell it. And the smoke is so strong and cover the sky and lighted it is shadow to cover the street. Everybody just remain here and they just open their business. They don't know what's really going on. Some of my friends, they told me 20 years, they said, we don't know really going on, the sky just getting dark. And we heard something explosion. And we see the police car just appear, fire department car just rush through, the lighting keep lighting, very sharp whistling, They know something happened, but they don't know how serious it is. And my friends, suddenly people start to just crying and run away. And he's run away also. He tried to go back his home. And somebody said, don't look to sky, don't look up, keep moving. Because they said it is kind of some raining. Something just fallen from the sky. maybe a piece of the rock, or maybe some metal unit, something. And even to somebody say, there is something hit their head and they pick it up. It is a part of human being's finger. It's so scared, you know. And people just try to escape here. And this is what just the September 11 began. And that's how the Chinatown in Manhattan began to suffer. It is very bad memory. And this is my tour about September 11, how it affects the Chinatown tour, and this by me, Hermit Wang. I'm very glad to share some stories with you today. Normally, my tour taking 1 hour for walking. The distance is from 1.5 to 1.8 miles. We will start from the 75 Cornell Street and will be finished at the September 11 Memorial and Museum. We will walking along by those spaces. And our final stop is the September 11 Memorial. Well, I need talking about a little story about the Chinatown. This is how the Chinatown looking, you know, in the 1910, 1920s. And it have several, you know, the restaurants or the hotels that be run by the Chinese people. All these Chinese people are the immigrants from the Guangdong. They coming here and looking for their life. And due to some policy the American government used to be making, so they have to be just remain into the place where they stay. We call here is called 5 points. Although maybe the living condition here is not very well, but they set up their home at here, and they continue running their business. And at the same time, they try to learn the tradition, languages, and you know the culture in this new country. That's their new home. When the year of the 1960, when the 1970 coming, this is a photo we taken in some part of the Chinatown. And the call here is called the blood corner or the Q corner, because many people losing their lives for the, you know, the gun fightings. And you can see this character looking like a policeman, and it look like they are just try to search something. And it used to be very dangerous at that time. And many movies and just use this kind of the background as their movie stories. Like this one, this is one of my favorite one. It's made in the year of the 1982, but when I see it, it's almost 2002, and my Hong Kong classmates just introduced this one to me. And that's how it is Chinese characters of the name of movie. And you can see that's translated in English. Actually, there's this one is based on the real story about the gun fightings, you know, at that time. But if you know you want to take a look at tonight, you can just go to the Google or you go to YouTube, you can find it. It's very interesting, but it is just based on the real story about how Chinese people, they living in Chinatown at that period. But believe me, doesn't mean all the Chinese people at that time they living in Chinatown, they are the gunfighters. No, not all of them. Some of them they join the gun, some of them just the regular persons. And the reason for why they just join the gun and they have the fighting is because they're coming from the different part of the China, and they have their own organizations. And so the benefit they cannot share. So they have the confliction, and it will deal with it by the military way. But most of them, they wish to just living in Chinatown peacefully and be respected by their neighbors. And many young people that come in here are the illegal immigrations, and they have to join the gun. And some of them, they are just want their family in China to know they do very well here, even though they don't want them to know they join the gun. They just, always go to the Twin Tower and they take the photo there and mail it back to their villages in China and writing the letters to their friends, their parents, or maybe same person living in the same village about what are they doing, and they're doing very well in New York City, in Chinatown. Like this is a sense in this movie. We can see the Twin Tower just as the background. Normally, I have a friend who now is almost 65 years old. He's living in the Bayside, somewhere near my home. He used to tell me, he said, when I was young, when I come to the New York, and I just want to let my mom in Hong Kong to know I'm really doing very well here. I earn the money and I'm going to become the boss. Actually, that's not the real thing. He just want his mom feel better, feel satisfied. So he just borrowed the shoes, sunglasses, and the ties, and give a very good dressing and sitting, use the Twin Tower as the background and sending the pictures back. See your son will become a big boss, and that's his office is just in the Twin Tower. The symbol of the New York City, the symbol of the money, fortune, power, and everything means the successful people. And that's the thing, at that time, from the 1960s, 70s, 80s, even to the 90s and the 2000 years, many Chinese tour guides, many Chinese tourists, they come in here, they come to Chinatown, but their final destiny is go to the Twin Tower and make a photo and several one here, and to when they back China or they're sending the postcard back to China, they just want to say, I'm sitting just in front of the Twin Tower, and I have my company inside to show how successful they are. And actually, Twin Tower is really an image, a symbol to Chinese immigrations that emphasize the success when they just do their careers in New York City. And when the Twin Tower just collapsed in the September 11, to some Chinese people, they living here, they said this is really a bad omen to us. And they really break our American dreams. I think many of us are familiar with this small street. The artist just use the color to making the decorations, and it is just want to show. Although maybe this street is tiny, and for the years, people living here, their life's color just as bright as their regular colors on the street, but people just living here. But everybody's life is very colorful. It's not just so bright. And this is not the color should belong to the Chinatown and the other space in the Manhattan. Some of my friends, they told me, they said 20 years ago, they are the kids. They remember their older brothers, they just use the stairs to go to the top of the building. And some of them say they see or they hear the big the explosion noises. And some of them, they just come climbing down and just told their parents, the people in their store said the plane just hitting the Twin Tower, big accident, but they don't know what's that, what it is. They thought that it's an accident at first, but later they know it's not that easy. But those streets today remain the same thing. And this photo is taken last Friday when I was here. This is another side of it looking at this street. It is tiny and very interesting. You can see that the parent, the father just with the daughter. And the Chinese generations just living here for maybe not only one generation, maybe several ones. The parents may be later getting old, but their children just rest up as adults. And they just keep talking about their life. And the biggest thing, they got their green card. They open their business. And one more thing is, if they're living here long, more than 20 years, they will talking about September 11, because that's a really big issue to them. When the September 11 just took place, a lot of their store must be closed. They say there is so many dust on the street, and you cannot smell, you cannot breathe. You need to wear the mask. And I just want to mention this store with you see that this store to you. The name of it is called the Tina Employment Agency. Before the September 11, there's more than 70 to 80 this kind of store here. They are the agency store. They have two services given to the new immigrants who's coming from the Guangdong China. The first one is about the job opportunity introduced. because the new people coming here doesn't like today, we use the Craigslist. We go on the internet and the searching for the, the job offers. 20 years ago, a lot of Chinese immigrations, whatever they are, the legal or illegal, they come in here, no Chinese media, no too many Chinese newspaper. Only thing if they want to find a job is go to a employee agency. There's used to be 60 agency, this kind of this store in the Manhattan Chinatown. And they are very busy every day. They introduce all kind of jobs from the dishwasher, busboy, bartender, any kinds, because those kind of store, they have a lot of information with the restaurants, the bar, and any kind of careers. Whatever the male or female, illegal or not illegal, they can speak in English or not, or they only speak in Guangdongese, that's fine. They will find the job for them. Of course, those people will pay a little bit, we call the introduction fee, like $50 sometimes. And it is just a one-time payment. If they're working in somewhere and they doesn't feel satisfied and maybe those store, they fire them, they can come back to their agency and the agency will find another store and no extra payment for a certain period. And that's why, the employment agency store is very popular 20 years before the September 11 appeared. And another main services that the employment agency provide to those immigrations is they can leave in their big luggages in their store. They have a space for that. Because sometimes the job, they just introduce to those people who looking for, maybe not in the Manhattan, maybe not in the New York City. And maybe that's the place in the Florida, maybe in the Ohio, maybe in New Jersey, maybe in Boston. So those people, they need to travel to there. And they don't need to carry their big luggages. They can just keep here. And when they pay the money for the deposit, the people working in the store will put a tag on their luggages about who are they and the contact phone number, something. So they can remain their luggages here, maybe like 1 month or maybe several months. They have a time to break. They're taking the shuttle bus, like the Greyhound and the others, back to the Chinatown, Manhattan. If they set up in another country, another city, they can pick up their luggages and, but if like several months later or 1 year later, they feel tired of working in Boston, working in the Philadelphia, they can just carry a very little bag with several pieces of the, the seals, and they just taking the shuttle bus back to the Manhattan and just getting their luggages and go the other somewhere. That's very convenient. But after September 11, because there many stores closed, they don't need so much person to working. So those people lose jobs. And next, those kind of employee agency, they don't need to just exceed. Many of them close and shut down after the September 11 and follow the time just moving forward. There's a more and more advanced technology appear, smartphone, internet, and there are a lot of, the medias just appear. So the new immigrations that they come into the New York City maybe after September 11, they seems no longer just rely on some agency. They can find a job by themselves because there's a lot of Chinese newspaper for the locals. They can just contact, the employees by the, the phone number be print on the newspaper, and there's no space for the employee agency. And this agency is the several one still exceed and remain in the Chinatown. Yeah, I just let you know, this is one used to be the very, very, important, information center to those immigrations who's coming to the Manhattan, New York around the 1970 till the 2000 years. We need to thank this lady, Li Chang, and several of the photo I'm going to use is belong to her record, and she just making a record about September 11 and what's going on to the Chinatown. And there are some resources I have to use, and I need to thank about her. Okay, and we can see this is our fire department in Chinatown. You can see there's a lot of posters be pasted on the wall. And if we know the photo here, we know the Bill Butler and we know the Harris. And this is the, the Chinatown, this is the Chinatown station. And you can see this map here, this is just be made by the kids. But actually that's the truth, One time, because the traffic is very messy, even to the fire department, they cannot just directly go through the, East Broadway and the other way to the Twin Tower because several places be just closed. And they just taking a long time to go to the Twin Towers. And there's a lot of, the poster we can find here. And here is the corner of the, the Chinatown. You can see the Chinese people, they living here, and they just write on their posters, the God bless America, and that's what it is said in Chinese. At that time, the Chinese people, they living here, they organized some kind of volunteer team to help the officers to just control the traffic, and they just try to just do the thing, what they need to do, because that's their community. And we can see this is the Kim Liu Square, and it is made in the 1962 or April 28. And this is how the name of the, the street be just the institute, the plate. And that's the newspaper, because the Kim Liu is one of the American Chinese who's born in, who's born in the America, and he just sacrificed his life to defend our country. He's born in the 1918 and died in the 1944. He's a bomber driver. He's graduated from the Pennsylvania Military School. And you can see the kid here, he just tried to burn a tinsel in the tank. Because according to the Chinese people's tradition, if somebody in your family or if they pass over for the memorial, they will just burn the tinsel and just will a way to just show how they remember them. You can see that the American Chinese kids just coming here and writing down what they feel about the, September 11. I have a friend named Jennifer. She told me when the September 11 happened, she's just, the 8 years old. And the morning time, her mom just sending her to the school just nearby. And later, the teacher told her, the parents will taking the kids back to their homes. All they got to do is just waiting here. She said to me, I feel a little scared and I become more scared because my friends and my classmates, they just be taken by their parents or maybe their relatives or maybe some of them know. One by one, they just leave in the classroom. One more person leave in the classroom, let me feel more, excited where my parents going to, especially, she said, where my mother go to. It is sad, she said, when my parents just appear finally, they coming to me and they just give me a big hug and they crying like the kids. He said, this is 20 years later, he's married now. He said, no, I remember, how hard time my parents just suffer at that time. They said, luckily their parents just got a chance and they find some safe space to just protect them. And after the accident, they try their best way back to her school and try to just get her. But it's very hard, and all the family members just see each other's, her parents just crying for they still can see their daughter, and she just have another younger sister who's in their house at that time. So they said when Jennifer told me, said, anytime when we're talking about September 11, we really doesn't want to talking about it. It is really a kind of very bad, really pain thing to us. I always imagine what happened if my parents cannot find a place to keep themselves safety. And what's going on? I maybe become an orphan. I will lose my parents. I will lose my family. But we are lucky. And eventually, I'm a friend of the Jennifer's parents. Eventually today, they said, that's why they want to live in Long Island. They said, we want to find a place. We don't want to hear any airplane just fly, the above through my ceilings. I feel scared for hear it again. For 20 years, they said we still bothered by if there's some airplane just fly through their house. They feel scared. They say they call my memories about what's really happened. We hear the noises. That's why every time we hear it, we feel the scary. So the September 11 really bring the people, no matter they are the children, they are the adults, they're living here. They give them very bad memories, and that's causing a lot of them. They're moving from the Chinatown, Manhattan to Amherst, to Queens, to Brooklyn, but not in Chinatown again. While I need to talking about this school, and that school that Jennifer used to stay. This is the Ying Wing Public School, and it is used this gentleman's name. His name is called Yung Wing. He's the first Chinese student who's graduated from the Yale University, and he became a politician too. And this gentleman, he is the first Chinese teacher and teaching the Chinese in the American history. And his name is Ge Hunhua. And he's teaching the Chinese language in the Harvard University in the year around 1892 to 1896. Even to me, I used to be an international student just studying Canada and America. The Chinese students, especially those they study in the school, in the America, in the New York City, they are a very large group for the immigrations. And many of them, on the daytime, they study in the school. And when the nighttime coming, they go to the Chinatown, they go to some restaurant, they go to somewhere, they want to earn some extra money for their expenses. And some of them, when they graduate, like me, I graduated from my university, I got my diplomas, and I try to find some job offers, some both they can give me the working visa instead of student visa. So we got a chance, to working legally in the city. And besides, we can just have a chance to apply the green cards. So the Chinatown in the Manhattan is a very good places for this day. First, they can find a job here. The second thing is what? They can find a lawyer here. This is another photo I taken last Friday. We can see the new World Trade Center just beside school. They are very near each other. And this is on the East Broadway. You can see this is an immigration law office. There are many immigration law office at here, because those lawyers, they will try to just get rid of many cases for people just want to just change their immigration status. Some of them are the students, some of them coming here and looking for getting the green card. Somebody try to got the working permit. Somebody try to work and got the this kind of thing. They needed the lawyers to give them the help. So East Broadway is also a place with many lawyers. And the most of the case they did here is not for the traffic. The most case they did here is about immigrations. Why? Because the East Broadway and the Chinatown is just very near those government office. And I think everybody knows this building, right? We always say it is the Federal Plaza. You know, in the building, our National Security Office, FBI office, they're all in this building. And but it's also a center for the, you know, the immigration services. Yeah, and that's the, you know, the citizenship and the immigration services in this building. 20 years ago, you know, there are many people coming here if they're living in Chinatown or they coming here for their citizenship and all kind of the immigration services. I remember, you know, there are many people just join the line. It is in the year of the 2006. I coming here with one of my close friend. She's just coming there for her green card, you know, the interview. We arriving here almost 8:30. We enter in 9 o'clock after security check. And she just go to do her interview in some rooms. I just remain in the lobby. And there is a Chinese lady walking to me and he asked me something in Chinese. He said, "Sir, do you know how this means in Chinese? I cannot read in the English." I just explained what the documents she gave to me, what that means. And later I said, why are you here? She said, I come in here for do my citizenship interview. I said, so is this the first time you come here? She said, believe it or not, sir. She's talking to me. She's almost 50 years old. I in my memory at that time, you know. She said, this is the 13th time I come here since from the September 11th. I said, what's going on there? She said, I coming from the Fujian, China, and I'm illegal immigrations. When I coming here, I just working in some factory in Chinatown for earn the money. I need a survival here. I need to mail the money back to China. Her family in China. So she need working very hard and she doesn't got any driver license or something. So she cannot live in the Chinatown, Manhattan. But things changed later. She making some friends and later they married. And her husband is an American citizen. So her husband tried to help her to get in the citizenship. They already submitted all of the application forms and they're waiting for their interview. But something happened. Her husband working in the Twin Tower as the cleaner. When the September 11 happened, her husband still remained into the building and not leaving. And he left her wife alone. On that case, this lady getting a very hardship for her own immigration translation. She needed just to submit more, documents to do the improvement. And during the September 11 case, this office used to be closed very long time, and all of the, the case be stuck here. On that case, in the, the immigration sending her the letter again and again and again, and because she's not reading in English, so she doesn't know what that means. This is just advertisement. She just tear the letters off and throw it away. Finally, she's getting some message in Chinese. She realized that's how awful it already be. So she tried to come into this office and do the interview. Like I said, she's not speaking English. She cannot answer the questions that, the officers talking to her. Even till she hear the lawyers, but she still cannot make so quick responses. If the, the officer, their speed is a little quicker, and she doesn't understand some specific English, words. What's the meaning of them? Like the elbow and the shoulder, that's two different parts. They do the same thing. So she always got wrong answer and let her case failed and failed and failed again. That's why later they have when the 2006, she still continue to this office and try to get rid of her case. Because later and my friend and I were living here and we just say we hope she getting the success that time. But I never asked about her name and what's going on, I don't know, because she's from Fuzhou, China. Even till she cannot speaking the typical Chinese, she's only talking about their own the Fuzhou Chinese. That's I'm not very understand. So that's a story I still remember happened in here. And there are a lot of similarity stories happen here, you know, before and after September 11. And like some of my friends, we got an interview here too. Like, you know, even till yesterday night, I talking to one of them. I said, do you remember 20 years you told me you are just do the interview here? They said that we are so lucky to just pass before the September 11th just coming. That's very surprise attack. If we're getting later or delay, we don't know what's going on for today. Maybe I cannot purchase in my car. I cannot open my company. I will not set up my home in the place where I'm living now. I cannot sending my children to colleges. Thanks for we do it earlier and everything's going to be lucky. So, you know, maybe this place to some of us who born here, who born in New York City or born in the America, that's two different stories. But to those people like me, we immigration here. And this place is a place where many people, they remember they got lucky or hardship in this office, that's in this building. See, if you just working from the East Broadway to the USCIS, you know, this office, just only, you know, try, you know, 6 minutes or driving or maybe taking the bus 6 minutes or 10 minutes. That's why a lot of lawyer office, they set up in the East Broadway, Chinatown, because that's very convenient. And I still need to mention about a little the desk here. You know, this remain to the, you know, the compensation fund. You know, because, you know, the September 11 took place here, there are a lot of dust and air polluted. And that's causing many people, they working here, they living there, they study here, they got trouble in their thread, you know, their lung, you know, they got asthma, and in this case, their body system getting very bad damages. This is why in the year of the 2006, the Chinese, you know, the Chinese residents, they just, you know, making the union with all the other people, they working here or they stay here. They just want to make the protest and want the government give them the refund because they are the victims. And this is the Foley Square. And, you know, if thinking about one morning, because that's a favorite for many Chinese people, they live in Chinatown also. Because it is very wide places, you know, just like the other park, you know, in the cities, you know, they play Tai Chi Chuan, the Chinese, you know, the boxings, and the morning time, you know, it's very good to your body healthy. When thinking about it, if you are just participating in the Tai Chi Kung Fu and you can see the Twin Tower here and just be kicked and the big noise and smoke coming out, you know, this is so surprised here. This is so surprised. Some of us say, we really doesn't know what's going on. We see the smoke, we heard the explosion. The world is just shaking, you know, start shaking, and a lot of police cars just running in all directions. Oh my God. The only thing we can do is we turn away and running back to the Chinatown. And we don't know why we do this. We just follow the others. This is the Colombo Park. You know, Colombo Park, you know, is a place in Chinatown. Many people daily they coming here for to the relax, you know, they play the chess, just like the Union Square, you know, people play the chess or poker playing, all this kind of, that's also a place for Chinese people, especially they living here for the entertainment. But in the history, here somebody, you know, the Chinese female used to making the, you know, the protest in this park too. And that's in the 1982, the garment workers strike. Because the female Chinese, they just immigrant here from Guangdong and the other places. The garment factory is a very good choice to them. They can work inside and earn some money. but they still against the unfair treatment by their boss. This is why they gather here, and they already, some of them already know very good English, and they join the organizations. They're making the protest. More than 2,000 female workers gather here and just acquire for the civil rights and the fair treatment for them. And even till this grandma here, she's still alive. And you can see she's just holding a shirt for the, the ladies' garment, the union, and for to remember this. In the 1990s, this is a big movement in China. Many people, they just want to come into the America, especially New York, Boston, Philadelphia, those big cities, and looking for their better lives. Like this is a postcard, like some like businessmen, the students or the hard workers, if they have a chance to go to the New York, that's their dreams. And there is the TV series be played from the 1994. That affect to me too. When the 1994, I was still a kid, but this TV series just affect a whole generation of the Chinese people in my age. I was born in the 1980, but this one is the first Chinese TV series, and it is just took place in a foreign country, not in China. It's talking about a Chinese couple. They just come. That's really look like at that time, from the 1990 to the 2000, the Chinese people, we fly from the long journey. No matter from Guangzhou, Beijing, the other cities, they're arriving here, they're arriving here, they exhausted when they pass through the customs. They don't know where to go. They don't have friends. They have no job. They need to just find places to survive. And this series just making a lot of record in the New York City. And you can see that's why I learned about how the New York City look like. At that time, I only know those two bridges belong to the New York, but I don't know the name at that time. And this series affect many people to go abroad. And all their story based on the real thing. This is the sense about a small family size garment factory. They just remodel their home and put it, and put it some machine here, and that's the family small size of the factory. All their dreams is someday they will make a big one and earn more money. And later they will buy a house in Long Island, sending their children to college, got a higher educations. And that's the dream for many people at that time. And we call it Chinese people's dream in America. But the September 11 break everything. Before the September 11, there's more than 400, the factory in the Chinatown, because that's very easy. The morning time, they just come in here and working, and when they close, they can just working back to their home in the 3 or 5 minutes, very convenient. And besides, if their boss allow them to just working extra, they will provide extra salaries and even though they give them the free dishes for eating. But September 11 stopped everything. After September 11, there's only like 200 factory kept, and the following time move because they moved the market to China and the Vietnam and the other countries. When the year of the 2008 to the 2010s, most of this kind of the factory closed, and this kind of career disappeared. And not only the garment factory, the others like this watch company, they already have 4 generations in Chinatown. And they sell all kind of the pockets, clock. They said, I asked them, they said they used to be the best seller in the Chinatown. Many people working in the financial district in the Twin Tower, they come in here in their lunch break because it's really, really near the place where they're working. They come in here looking for the watch. They're looking for their wedding rings, necklace, everything. They will just see and ask the price, and maybe later after work, they come in here and pay the money for the deposit, and that's it. But since after September 11, it's all closed. No customer, no more coming. They're moving to the, the 5th Avenue. move to 5th Avenue, maybe the 50th Street, the 57th Street, they go there, not here. And this store is several one just still keep in the the Chinatown, and they really have a very long history for selling the watch and the other thing here. We can see this store at the Moscow Street, and it is a phono supply store. You can see they still putting a model of the plane at their window, want to just remember the September 11. Because when the September 11 just took place, the best, maybe who got the best business? The Furno house, they got the best business. People losing their families, losing the people they know, they need to come in here for the Furno, for the cemetery. But many times I just bring my groups, to do the Chinatown tour. This is why I want to share all of you. They ask me what's those thing. It's made by papers. Heavy paper. What's that? No, this is not the toy for the logo. Don't buy it for your children. Somebody even did I figure out. They coming in and buy some model outside. I said, what's that? They said, I don't know it. This is called, the ancient money or the ancient thing. This kind of things for those people who's passed over. In Chinese people's, the tradition, when somebody passes over, in their cemetery ceremony, they will find the big containers and set up the fire and putting all the kind of paper thing inside, no matter that's the, the house or the car or something. That's the Chinese people tradition, because they believe that people, when they pass over in the underground world, they still need a house to live in. They need money to just spend, this sort of thing. So maybe next time you bring your tourists coming here, so you know what it is really mean. It is not for toy, it's yeah, and this is the Chinatown looking like today, but no, either the September 11th is used to looking like that, because for some reason, the signal be covered. Nobody can use their phone to call. The only thing you want to contact the other person is you have to use those equipment that bring by the government. That's the only thing you can contact. Otherwise, you're leaving this area. You need to go the other areas. Otherwise, there's no signals. And for many stores, they paste this kind of, the poster here, all this kind of people like this gentleman may be working inside of some company in the the Twin Towers. Many of them losing their lives, and many of them they don't know where they're going to. You see, not only Chinese, all kind of people you can find their photos. And here's the radio tape. We just hear what people they're talking about when the September 11 happened. You can rest up or. Yeah, it's very, like that man said, it's very shocked, But today, Chinese people, they still remain here and just enjoy themselves. But they told me when the September 11 coming, this Columbus Park, they don't want to remain here. And maybe you can see the plate here. That's the Zhe Zack Zeng. It is a American Chinese young man who sacrificed his life in the September 11 to try to save somebody. And we were talking about, yeah, that's the Zhe Zack Street. And that's how the Jack looking like. And that's his name. And this is a video about him. And you will see that. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's the last the record for him. Another Chinese lady I must be mentioned is about the Betty. Betty is just a flight attendant in the flight 11. And she just report the plane be hijacked and use the phone. And that's let the command center know, what's going on in the plane. It's not a regular accident. The terrorists, they got the airplane and that's the attacks. And that's later about the message sent by Betty and the other, flight attendant in the different flight. They realize it's something serious. They have call off all of the airport in the American. The flight from the other countries, they have choice to just turn around, fly back where they're coming from, or they can landing in Canada or the Mexico, but no airport in America. And all the flight they are just flying, they must find an airport where they are near, where they are just near and just landing there. And without the message sending by the Betty, the command center maybe doesn't know how serious it is. And here is a record about, the phone call by the Betty. Well, I know maybe it is a little late for today, but I'm going to finish my presentation. Thank you for listening. And we can find the Betty's name in our September 11 memorial. And there are many names be just the record here. Totally, there are 2,983 victims and be put on the 152 bronze parapets for the memorial. There include 2,977 killed in September 11 attack and 6 people in the 1993 World Trade Center fire. Although this accident is just the Passover for 20 years, and the people, no matter they are the Chinese, they are the people native, they are the immigrations, they all have their stories about the September 11, relate to their families, relate to the people they know. And after 20 years, many people still remember those kind of things, what happened at that day. And today, the topic I want to make is, no matter who they are, we remember them all. And that's why, we say New York remembers. And thank you for, today's to coming in, and that's all my today's presentation. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was really, really great, Hermit. I really appreciate that, and I was really moved at times. I hope everybody else was.
That's okay.
If anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and put them either in chat at this point. Best to put them in chat, make sure that everybody can see them. While anybody may do that, before people leave, I do want to mention, of course, many of you will know that we have a whole program this week on with GANIC in commemorating the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks with different presentations. You can find I'm going to put a link in chat. The part of our website is called New York City Remembers, and there's a schedule of virtual tours and in-person walking tours in New York City and different places in New York. This is all the week leading up to September 11th and a few events after September 11th as well. I myself am going to be giving a presentation on Wednesday at 7 p.m. on a Russian perspective on this. I was living in Russia at the time of September 11th, so I'm going to speak a bit about what it was like to experience it from that side of the world, and about the memorial that was given to America by Russia, called the very large, outsized teardrop memorial, which is currently in Bayonne, New Jersey. And I know a little bit about the artist who drew that. Is quite prolific figure in Russia, and I'm going to talk a bit about the artist. I'm going to talk a little bit about the memorial itself, the teardrop memorial, and the my experiences, my personal experiences in September 11th, having lived on the other side of the world. So I hope people want to join me for that. These are all free, of course, presentations. And really, you know, this is what we're trying to do is provide the tour guide perspective on September 11th. You know, like we are tour guides. We like to think that we're very knowledgeable of the city and all of the aspects of the city, and that we have, you know, the many people, of course, have stories to tell. Like you said, Wang, everybody has a story to tell about September 11th, but we feel that our stories, you know, we can process a lot of those stories and present them in a way that you know, people can sort of, I don't want to get too complicated here, but I think we're capable of processing those stories and then representing them in a way that really makes it help people understand what it means to people, and so forth. And that's just so tremendous what your presentation was that what it really meant to that neighborhood, which is so close to it. You know, I'm going to be talking about what it meant to people on the other side of the globe, but you're literally talking about people who are almost across the street. I did want to ask, okay, I did have a couple of questions, which I don't have the ability to put them in the Q&A, so I didn't write them down. I didn't put them in chat. That wall in the fire station that had the notes, I think it was very early in your presentation. Was that is that something you can see now, or was that a picture from the time after September 11th? You know, Hermit, what was that? What was that? An old picture? It was from the inside of the fire station. I think it was the inside of the fire station in Chinatown. Was that an old picture, or was that something we could see now if we went and visited it?
Well, you can just search about the keyword September 11 Chinatown, and you can find them. And they are the collection for the over Mocha Museum, the Chinese Life Museum in the Chinatown. They have the collection of that too. But you also can find on the internet.
I got the gist. One other question I did have: what was the impact? I mean, maybe I'm being kind of leading on this, but you know, obviously it's clear that the Manhattan Chinatown was just right across from, you know, like right next to the World Trade Center, and it physically was impacted. We talked about the dust. What about the other Chinatowns? What was the impact on them? I mean, did the other Chinese neighborhoods become bigger because of it, or did their businesses move there? Like what happened to places like Flushing and Elmhurst and so on?
Well, you know what, at the very beginning of I want to make today's presentation, I want to make it for Flushing. But later when I do the research, I find in the Amherst, in the Brooklyn, in the Flushing, Queens, their life be affected by September 11 also, but not as serious as the Manhattan.
Obviously not.
You know, at the very beginning of my presentation, I said the Chinese people, they living in the Manhattan Chinatown, they rely on the subway system because they can find all the store in the Chinatown. They don't need to go Queens. They don't need to go Brooklyn. They just rely on there. And the same thing to those people, they stay in the Flushing or the Brooklyn. They have their own community. If they don't have something necessary, they not go to each other's. But after September 11, many people, they're moving from the, the Chinatown, Manhattan to Brooklyn, to Amherst, to Queens. And that's those communities start continue and connect to each other. And today, if you go to the Chinatown, you can see the Chinese bus company there. They just do the translation to pick up and drop off the people in those different, the Chinese society in our different boroughs. They can go from the Manhattan to Brooklyn, Brooklyn to Flushing, Flushing to the Manhattan. And that's all fact by the September 11. Before the September 11, there's no this kind of business because they don't need it. After September 11, there this kind of Chinese bus company appeared. They provide a very simple service to those people because those people, they living in the Chinatown and the other Chinatown, they don't trust public services. They want to just have a way only the Chinese people use it. And of course, it's very convenient, it's only spend, I remember, 10 years ago, only $3, you buy a ticket and driving from the Flushing to the to the Manhattan, and only taking 30 minutes if there's traffic okay, and only 2 stops, Flushing and Manhattan. That's it.
And it's
and that's what the September really bring to the Chinatown in Manhattan and the other space in our New York City.
Okay. Look, I don't see any questions in chat. So if nobody else has anything, that was great. Again, I do encourage everybody to join any of our other programs that are coming up. And again, I posted the link above in the chat, and you can study those events. Otherwise, I am going to stop the recording right now. Yes.